technologies aside and think that search engine is a very traditional way of doing marketing, a very, I don't know, time-consuming way maybe. They think that this is a waste of money, and many people have a very wrong perception towards this as well. They think that you need to pay search engines before you can get ranked. I tell you up front right now, nonsense. Search engine is free. Any startup, even if you just started a month ago, you stand a chance to be ranked on Google on first page if you know how to do it right. And for those of you over here and you're still thinking that Google and search engine is an old form of technology, let me just ask you a very simple question. If you want to look for a specific service, or let's say you want to look for what's good to eat in Pyramid, maybe professionals in Pyramid, too near, maybe Pavilion or Mid Valley, where's the first place you actually go to look for this kind of information? Google, right? It has become so ingrained to us where the moment we require some sort of a product or service or advice, Google is the first place we go on to. Same goes to our assignments. When a lecturer gives us the assignment, we copy-paste the question, put it to Google, hopefully some answer shows up somewhere. Aha, you know what I'm talking about, right? See? We rely on Google on every single thing. In fact, let me give you a very scary stat. Do you know that these days, people don't even check the dictionary anymore? We type some random words in Google, right? And Google comes and says, did you mean this? And then, aha, we copy-paste and put it somewhere else. Right? So Google has become our dictionary. It has become a place for us to locate things. We have come to a place to locate products, get recommendations, get reviews, which is the best service provider, which is the best restaurants and things like that. So imagine if today you start a business and you're listed on page 100 on Google. Your business is as good as undiscovered. Let's just do a very quick survey right now, again, right? How many of you actually scroll to the second page of Google? Okay, notice the number of hands here. How many scroll to the third page of Google? How many scroll past the fifth page of Google? You see, the number of hands dropped drastically. How many of you are like me? If the first page does not give you results, you click away. You see? For a very simple fact, right? So imagine if you're not discoverable on Google, on the first page, this is how many hands you miss. It's no longer a ratio of whether you carry your wallet or your phone anymore. It's which platform do you actually go to when you need something. Right, so there are a few ways to position yourselves well on search engines, and these are some things over here. I won't go through every single one of them because that will take exceedingly amount of time. I'll just focus on 2 points here, right? The first point is this. Image search. Right? A lot of us rely on Google by searching through tags. That's fine. Writing good content, blah blah blah. That makes very good search engine content. But what makes it even more amazing, if you can, is to make sure all your images are named something meaningful according to your brand or product. Instead of uploading something called image01.jpg, image02.jpg, image03.jpg, imagine if you're able to name it, let's say it's a picture of yourself. You put janwong.jpg. If it's a picture of your company or your product, you put it myburgerlab-ultramanburger.jpg. Now, sounds very logical, sounds very stupid to some of you, but let me tell you this. A lot of times, we also rely on Google Images, right? Google Images also is a source of discovery. And being a brand and being a company, one of the main things, and this is where the hack part comes in, you want to be discoverable as in many frames, as many pages as possible. If you are not on the first page in text, maybe you can dominate the first page with images. Will that help? It will. So this is a very simple way of doing it. And the best part is that if you actually name your images well, other images websites like Pinterest could potentially also pick you up. So just on search engine alone, by positioning your text and images well, you're already covered pretty well. But what's up and coming that many people are also missing these days, especially the cooler tech startups these days, is this thing. Whether your content is actually readable now. In the world of search today in digital marketing, there's a rising usage of voice search. We are talking about the likes of Siri. We are talking about the likes of Google Home. We are talking the likes of Alexa and all the other different voice recognition softwares out there. Right? And you may not notice this, but there is a growing group of population, maybe some of you are here as well, that actually rely on voice search. You actually say, hey Siri, do this for me, search this up, turn on Google. And imagine if all you focus on in your website are words that these tools cannot pick up, they don't understand. You go overboard in localization, you mix BM Chinese, English, Thai, Japanese, Korean in one single sentence, chances are voice search will not pick you up. And it's free traffic. So if you're able to position your content that is readable, that's understandable, so what I will always tell people is to do this. If after writing a content, just go to Google, you see Google again, search for free voice reading software. Copy and paste your website text, put it into the voice recognition software, and see what it reads to you. See whether it sounds like what you want to sound like or not. Especially your brand name. A fancy brand name may sometimes get you in trouble when it comes to search engine, because they don't know how on earth to pronounce that. So if I turn on and say, hey Google, search for, I can't think of a funny name, but let's say I just search for a name and they don't understand it, you're stuck. Google will tell you, sorry, there's no such results, search again. And there goes one customer. So far so good? Alright? Still alive? If you're alive, show me a thumbs up. Right, that's engagement over there, right? So I kind of get 100 likes on Facebook already. Cool. Second one I want to share with you. Now, this is really an up and coming thing. I think we consume a lot of live content, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram, but many brands actually don't really fully understand the power of live. Now, if you really study Instagram and Facebook's algorithm, right? I don't know whether you know this, but behind Facebook and Instagram, there's some sort of mathematical calculation that determines what you should see as a user. This means that if you pull up your news feed versus my news feed, we actually see different things. You do down there, right? How they do this is using what we call an algorithm. So, by going on live, you kind of bypass this algorithm because live videos tend to take a precedence over all other content you see on Facebook, Instagram. That is why when you log into Facebook, Instagram today, right, and if your friend or a page that you have liked go live, have you noticed Facebook, Instagram pushes you a notification to say that so and so is now live. Watch now. So the question is, why are brands and startups not leveraging on this? I really do not know. Basically, right, Facebook is doing the heavyweight for you, telling all your fans and followers that you are going live, but here you are at the corner spending on ads, hoping that somebody click on it and convert. Well, Facebook can do this for free. But what's even more amazing, and I tell you this, a lot of people do not know this, but if you have a smart TV at home, and you have the Facebook app installed on your smart TV, have you clicked on it to see what's inside? It streams all the live videos that your friends and the pages that have posted, alongside all the other video content you've probably consumed. And that is free distribution. You're able to reach people sitting at home in front of the TV without having to run advertisements just because they run Facebook on their smart TV. But again, companies and startups are not tapping into this free technology. Moving on to the third one. Messenger. Now, one thing I've always boasted and talked greatly about Malaysia is that we are a very good tech-savvy nation. When I say that, right, very simple. You go to Instagram, you go to Facebook, go to any e-commerce seller on Facebook, Instagram. Every time somebody posts up a picture and says, oh, I'm selling this clicker, baby, and I say this, oh, it's 19 ringgit. Somebody will definitely comment and say, PM price. PM please. Bro, nego. Best price, right? And it's like, come on, I told you it's 19 ringgit, right? Why do you want me to PM and tell you the price again? So we are really good texters, right? But that is exactly the advantage that we're supposed to play to. With so many tax-savvy consumers out there, Why are brands not getting into Messenger? If you do not know, WhatsApp has something called a WhatsApp Business Messenger right now. Open to business. It's free to sign up. You can just download it from the App Store and the Play Store, and you can immediately use WhatsApp Business. There's something called the WeChat official account, which you need to sign up for. You can also access that. There's also FB Messenger, which is great, especially if you are very new and you're selling a product. You most likely set up a Facebook page anyway. But if you're able to tap into the power of Facebook Messenger, in which millions of users are already on, you can actually automate quite a bit of things. And the key here in Messenger is beyond just sending ads again. Okay, it's beyond sending ads. It's not just about spamming your users about updates and all that. It's how you're able to use these messenger platforms to speed up your operations and customer service. How are you able to automate answers that are frequently asked? For example, PM best price bro. Right? You know people are going to text you in this manner anyway. You know they're going to send this amount of text, and you know you're going to spend ridiculously amount of time copying and pasting the same text over and over again. So what if you're able to put in what we call a bot to automate some of these basic conversations? In return, it gives you time to focus on wherever that requires more effort in. Make sense? Very quickly, the fourth one, coming to a close very quickly already. I only have 5 points. The fourth one is to be social and social media. Now, every time I say this point, people say, yeah, of course, it's social media. But we forget, seriously, we forget. We go on social media, and what we like, I always use this term, is that we like to be very short sendiri on social media. We have a lot of self-gratification on social media. We want to talk about ourselves. We want to talk about our products. We want to showcase how pretty or how good-looking we are. We want to showcase our achievements. We want to showcase the people on the platform. And we keep pushing and pushing and pushing. We keep talking about ourselves, forgetting the fact that the people that followed you in the first place didn't really want to hear so much about you. What they want to hear is what you can do for them. There's a big difference in hearing from you and in hearing from what you can help them do. Think about it. Every business, every startup, no matter how big or small in that scale, started a business for a very simple reason. They want to solve a problem. But the problem cannot be a problem if all you do is talk about your solution. The only way to achieve that and to bridge the gap on social media is to actually be social. Stop talking about yourself. And the next one is something it's a real pet peeve of mine, right? Have you seen people posting the same content on Facebook and on Instagram and LinkedIn and Pinterest, and the list goes on and on, maybe even in the emails? It just does not make sense. Now think of it as a consumer right now, right? Just think of it. If you are on Instagram, what kind of content do you imagine yourself browsing through? If nice photos, right? Very well photographed photos, lifestyle photos we call it, or a brochure that tells you 50% off burgers right now. Which are the type of content do you prefer? Lifestyle. Most of us go on Instagram to look at what our friends are doing. We want to catch up with different type of content. But when we go on Facebook, our requirement changes, right? On Facebook, we are more likely to watch videos. We are more likely to click on articles. And even if you move to other platforms, let's say Snapchat or LinkedIn, the requirement for content changes platform to platform. But you see, brands don't realize that. They share the same content across all the different platforms in hopes of what we call mass distribution or mass content penetration. Rubbish. Consumers don't care. The behavior changes platform to platform, and if you're serious about doing digital marketing right, you need to be able to adjust to these different platforms. Only put up content relevant to that particular platform. One last one. Participate in groups. This is something new. Facebook now allows pages, meaning brands or companies, to participate in group discussions. Now, before this, Facebook groups, I'm sure all of you are one group of another, right? You know what I'm talking about. Back then, Facebook groups are only available to personal accounts. This means that if you're a business, you cannot step into a group. But these days it's possible, which means you as a brand right now have the opportunity to engage with a tighter group of audience rather than just relying on a page, which is something you should definitely check out as well. Last but not least, before I close, is to engage influencers. Now, I put a caveat here to say that the influencers I'm talking about are not your Insta famous. Okay? I'm not talking about the people with the celebrities with hundreds and thousands of followers, tens of thousands of followers. I'm talking about how you're able to identify not even what we call micro-influencers, but ordinary people that could potentially be influencers. Let me just give you a very simple example. Let's say if you stumble on Instagram and you found this guy or girl and he or she has 100,000 followers. Probably because of their looks, just being honest, right? And you as a brand try to engage them to sell, I don't know, maybe there's this girl on Instagram and you say, oh, because she has 100,000 followers, let's try to get her to endorse my makeup brand. Sounds like it makes sense, right? But have you actually wondered, out of the 100,000 followers, how many of them are guys? Have you thought about that before? Yeah? So if, yes, she's going to very gladly charge you as a brand to say, yeah, you want me to endorse your makeup brand? Sure, pay me 5k, 10k ringgit. You pay this girl, the girl goes up, posts a picture of herself after the makeup, and then say, oh yes, I use this brand, and then she gets thousands of likes, and you go through the likes, all thousands of them are guys. And you ask yourself then, you as a brand, are these your target audience? Probably not. Unless you target the guys that probably want to use the makeup. I do not know, but chances are very unlikely, right? So what I'm really referring to as influencers are real community users, real consumers that you have identified to be able to bring your brand into their network of friends. Meaning just ordinary people like you and I, and use what I call a multiplier effect. You see, this is how trends or hype usually works on social media, right? If I see something, I post it. If it's just me alone, it's not cool. But if he posts it as well, and we share, let's say all of us are in the same friends circle, yeah? He posts something as well, and then she posts something as well, and then he posts as well, and then she posts something as well, suddenly this became a cool brand. Right? It's the same as all the other contests you see out there, all these new brands coming, all these new cafes popping up, because we see our friends there, and we see 5 of our friends there, and then 10 of our friends there. Even though I don't like that cafe, I somehow want to go and see what the trend is all about. So imagine if you're able to create this multiplier effect with just ordinary people. Real people, real followers, real friends following them, and you're able to spread this seed among this community. That will give you a significantly better effect than spending $10,000 trying to get an so-called a celebrity to endorse a brand. So far so good? How much time do I have left? Great. Can I open a time for questions or do I? Okay, yeah? Alright. I've covered all 5 points. Maybe I would like to just take a few questions before I wrap up with just a final point. Any questions from the floor? There's a hand up there. Okay, there's a mic. Great. I almost wanted to run to her.
You mentioned you started up your business with almost zero capital.
Yeah.
So, with all this hack, will the chances of doing it is higher or? Actually, I'm sorry. I actually planning to start up a marketing agency, which I already have a clothing business.
Mm-hmm.
I am 20, but I'm not very sure how the digital marketing works if I want to start something like that.
Something like that as in a clothing business?
Another business. Just as a marketing agency.
To start a marketing agency business, but you don't know anything about marketing.
I do.
So okay, let me try to get the question right? So you're asking, how do I start a marketing company without know how to do marketing? Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm not very good at that, but how do I make it better? Not that I do know what I have to know,
Mhm.
but I want to make it better. So I need advice.
Okay, alright. I'll try to answer the question, alright? But it's very simple. Open Minds is a marketing technology company. So what we do is we do a lot of digital, we do a lot of data analytics, and one of the main challenges we face, even as a marketing company ourselves, is that all these things that I've shared with you today changes very, very quickly and very, very often. As social medias or as channels update themselves and they put up new algorithms and new restrictions, it restricts, at one hand it restricts companies, at the end it also helps companies do a lot more. So the only way to actually learn and stay on the ball, there's no other way than to actively use the platform, that's one. Number two, you need to sign yourself up to the partnership programs that all this platform has. So Facebook has a partnership platform, Pinterest also has some sort of support. If you sign yourself up to them and make yourself known as a marketer, there's a good chance you'll be shown updates before anyone does. But number three, which a lot of companies miss out, is that, you see, there's this very interesting thing when it comes to business and tech. The tech guys are very happy in the tech world, and they don't communicate with the business guys and the marketing guys. Likewise, the marketing guys rarely interact with the tech side, and that's a huge divide. Without understanding the actual fact that a lot of marketing and whatever they've seen and heard today actually does rely on a change of technology as well. So if you're serious in building a company in digital marketing, you also need to be actively involved in how tech is actually evolving and changing, because this is how communication is going to be evolved. Let's take Facebook for example, right? When it first launched, it was just text and image. Pretty much what Friendster can do. In fact, Facebook used to have a different way of communicating. They call it a poke.
Oh, yeah.
And then they invented the super poke, which I don't know what's it for, right? But you see, with different tech, as tech evolves, the way of communication also changes. Right now on Facebook, there's something called, back then, there's something called a 360-degree photo. Have you seen that? It's very common right now, right? But just weeks ago, Facebook launched this thing called a 3D photo. Have you seen? Yeah? If you haven't seen a 3D photo yet, you are lagging behind time by about 1 month, right? Because Facebook right now has something called a 3D photo. It's really cool. And the only way to be aware of these things is to always keep your tabs on how technology is changing, even in the digital scene. I hope the answer helps somehow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there time for another question? There's a hand right up at the front. Over here, over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth row.
Hi, my question is,
Great.
if you are trying to reach the target audience, but your group of friends are not in any way linked to that target audience, for example, the product you want to deliver is not something that you feel your friend group will have taste in, how do you reach that external audience outside your friend group?
Simple. You need to go out and meet those bunch of people. Really. And yeah, it's as simple as that, because you see, as every company, right, as every business that you start, be it every product or service that you invent, naturally you have a target audience in mind. And it's crazy to start a business without even validating your idea or validating how relevant your product or services are in the target group audience. So if you have done your validation well, you should have already spoken to X number of potential customers from their group. And that will immediately act as your first course of marketing or first course of outreach. Hope that helps. Is there another question?
The way I understand multiplier effect is that when something gets posted and someone else posted about it, naturally a group of audience will be interested in that particular thing too. But what I don't understand is how do you plant the seed?
Okay, I like this question. So I don't know whether to hear it from the back, but there's someone in front asking, how does this multiplier effect work, right? How do you first even plant the seed into one person? Well, there are many ways, but my favorite way is to force your friends to do it. Really, they are your friends for a reason, right? I mean, being in a bootstrap, I'm serious, right? Being in a bootstrap environment, you need to take what you can take. And my analogy is very simple. If you can't even get your friend to be interested in your product in the first place, I think you need to rethink your product. Because if you can't convince that one friend to actually share it out for you, there's a very slim chance for you to get somebody that's completely no ties with you to actually get the first share. So always start with your closest people. Do what you need to do, including snatching their phone and sharing from the phone. I've done that before. But all you need is that first person to start spreading, right? So imagine, I'm sure you have, most of us will probably have at least 2 groups of friends, minimum. One will probably be your classmates, one will probably be your ex-schoolmates or the club members that you have been in, or some sports club you've been in, or some foodie club you've been in. So you definitely have a minimum 2 groups of friends. If you're able to plant one person from each group, that really starts you off with 2. After that, there's something called pray and hope. No, it's a joking. After planting the 2 things, right, next it really depends on how you're going to sell it. Right? The content that you put out, whether you're using the right platform, you're using the right text, how you're able to reach out from there. This is the organic method. Of course, if you have some money to spend on ads, then that is where you can actually put it to propel further, else this is how the multiplier effect actually starts. Alright? I think I saw a hand right behind just now.
Just going to talk about data, right? So can we know that what data really matter for a business? So how do we understand them? How do we analyze it? And how do we utilize them?
Awesome. I will need 2 hours to answer that question. It's a very, very big question, so let me try to summarize that for you, right? Now, there is a very big misconception when it comes to data, even within big corporations today. And the big misconception is this. A lot of companies subscribe to a whole list of different data sources, and they leave data in different hands or different departments of people. So this means that they probably have the IT team that focuses on the website data maybe. And then you have the marketing team that looks into their POS materials or POS information or advertising data. And then they have a social media agency that gives them a monthly report on a monthly basis. Now here lies the problem of data. If your data in an organization is all fragmented and not consolidated to a single point, all the data that you are consolidating or receiving at the end of the day are just fragmented information that does not help you in business decision. So the trick to getting good quality data is the ability to connect on your entire customer journey, your entire chain of customer experiences. Every pot of data should be linked to a single source. For example, if you buy ads, the data from an ads collection should go somewhere, link to your Facebook engagement, link to your website, link to your e-commerce page, and maybe even link to your in-store data. Any of these chains that are broken would already give you a different sense of what kind of data that is beneficial from a company. Data is only valuable when you're able to connect them, not being seen as isolated pots of data. Alright, that's another like. 1 more minute equivalent to 1 more question. We right up at the front. 2 questions, okay, 2 questions can, huh? Negotiation skills. Alright. Sure, let me just come up, yeah.
Sorry, just now I mentioned that the technology is always evolved and same goes with the digital marketing. So do you mind to share like what is the latest and also the potential of the digital ads that we can, the company can use?
Cool. So what are the latest tech or what kind of technology that we should really watch out for? To be honest, there are a lot of debates happening when it comes to technology evolution. And if you ask me personally, the whole ad tech scene is actually in a huge mess right now. Everybody's trying to guess what the next big thing is. But let me tell you a few things that we have observed and happening really soon as well, right? We actually see the rise of personalized content. Regardless of platform, the ability to be able to engage on a one-to-one basis with a consumer, actually we'll be able to win the next generation of conversations. And the way to do this is actually the usage of Messenger. Messenger, if you do not know, is one of the world's most distributed app on both iOS and also the Play Store. You can combine a few, if I'm not mistaken, right, the most used app or most downloaded and most active users app is actually the Facebook Messenger app in the world right now. That's fact. But the thing is, a lot of brands are still not tapping into it yet, so that's one area to actually look at when it comes to personalization and conversation. But when it comes to content publication, another area to still look towards is actually the usage of, again, live videos. Live videos in Facebook's development timeline, as what we understand, will continue to remain relevant at least for the next 6 months. Why? Because they're moving towards AR tech as well. So there is a rising observation that a lot of social platforms will combine both the usage of live and augmented reality to perform sales transaction on social platforms. These are the two main things apart from all the big data, machine language, big jargons that's going on. Yeah. There's one more right at the end just now, right? Yes, can we get a mic right to the end unless she can shout through the hall, which I doubt it, it's quite far behind.
In the current market, whereby everyone can actually access to being a seller, so what can, because the competition is increasing drastically, and what can we do to actually aid the problem of our profit margins decreasing in a huge amount?
Okay, there are two parts to the answer, right? So the first part, you mentioned profit margin, and then you talk about competitors as well. To be honest, when you talk about profit margin, unfortunately, digital marketing can't really help you there. Fact, right? Simply because if you are going to rely on digital marketing to dictate your profit margin, you are in the wrong space. You can't do that. The profit margin is always linked to a business model, and you cannot use digital marketing to you cannot just throw prices on digital marketing. That's all I'm trying to say. But how are you going to stand out from your competitors? Now, that is something we can talk about. Standing out from competitors really just means what can you do to attract your customers more. Agree? The only way to stand out from your competitors is to find innovative ways that you can communicate with your customer better, relate to your customer better, talk at the level where your customer can understand you better. The only reason why a competitor can most likely steal you away, or steal your customers away, can only be two things. One, they relate better. Two, pricing. Right? But let's also be very honest to ourselves to say that pricing may not be the only determining factor when it comes to marketing. You see, a lot of brands out there, right, they compete with price, and they think that price can actually breed brand loyalty. But it doesn't. The classic example is Uber and Grab. Remember these two companies? You still remember Uber? Back then when they are still here in Malaysia, right? Let's be very honest with ourselves again. Whoever the company gives you a bigger discount code, you will use them for the day. Right? If Uber says, I give you $10 today, oh, today, Lord, Uber, my friend. The next day, Grab says, I give you $15. Grab, we are buddies. And then we just keep jumping platforms and platforms and platforms. But that is just on a price game. And if you're just going to be a startup, and if you're bootstrapping, or you're just an SME providing services, or maybe just a small F&B outlet somewhere, maybe it's just a one-man show business, this is something you cannot do. But what you have, that some of the bigger competitors do not have, is the ability for you to really segmentize your audience and speak to them on an individual level. Personalization is something where big corporates struggle. They cannot. Because of time and resources, they cannot speak to every single one of them. But as a small business owner, you can take time to understand each of your consumers and really cater to their needs. You're able to customize your solutions. You're able to change and speak at their level. You're able to produce content that appeals to that particular group of person. If you can do that, that's how you automatically win customers. And I think my time is up, so I wouldn't even have time to wrap up. But anyway, I'll be freely contactable. If any one of you would like to stay in touch, these are some of my contact details. My Insta is there as well, my Facebook is there as well. Feel free to drop messages. Other than that, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's invite this very strange and inviting in front of me. Can I invite Jen Wong back up on stage so we can pass a token of appreciation? For that, can we invite our Vice President, Kit Long, to present it to him, please? Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for our two men on stage. Wouldn't it be nice if we all had that type